What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee, and this is episode 125 of the Bread podcast. This episode was not live, and it's because I just wanted to do a special episode with everything that has happened for the past week. I decided to take this time and use my platform to talk about mental health, especially with the passing of Daffney and with September 11th. And, I just want to just take the time to just make sure that, if you're listening, that you are okay mentally, that anyone and everyone who needs help to please, do whatever it takes to get help. It's This is the third female wrestler that we have lost recently to suicide. We lost Ashley and Hannah to suicide as well, and I think it's the opportunity to let everyone know that mental health matters and that we are in a time where talking about mental health and saying that you need help and talking about your experience is not as taboo as it used to be. I've dealt with, and I'll talk personally about myself. I dealt with I dealt with depression for a very long time, and it took a lot to work through it, and it's a process. And I just want people out there to know that you are not alone. That I don't know who you are. I don't know, what you're going through, your struggles or anything, and what you're going through is probably like um what I would be going through is probably like a drop in the bucket compared to your life. But I still want you to know that, you are loved. And there are a lot of resources out there for you to get help. For example, for this National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is 24 hours, 1-800-273-8255. You can call it at any time that you feel suicidal. There's a lot of different tactics, and one way may not work for you, but keep trying. Meditating, um, turning to spirituality, whether it's going to church or anything like that, reading the Bible or whatever. Journaling, there's places, I forgot the name of it, where you can go. They'll give you a sledgehammer. You can break like glass and stuff like that. They'll put you in a room. You can break glass and stuff like that to kind of just get out whatever it is that you're holding inside. Growing up, the biggest thing was always to hold your emotions inside. Don't let people see you cry. If you're going through something, deal with it type of situation. And so you know, as I'm older, I'm very happy to see that talking about mental health is more acceptable than it was back in the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s, where if you said you need help, it was, well, deal with it yourself or get over it or, too bad. And now today, it's, if you say that you are not well, there are, resources that are free that's available to you. There are people who you can talk to, and it's not the it's not the end of the line, I should say. I don't want, people to lose their lives. I know how it feels to feel like you're at the end of your rope and to feel like there is no out. There is like, why should I continue to go on? It's a very dark place. It's a very tough place to get out of. It takes a while to get out of it. It's not like some sort of magic pill or like all of a sudden you'll wake up and you'll be cleared minded and everything. It's a long process, and you learn a lot about yourself, and you learn about, who you really are. You come out stronger, in the end and everything. And it's just it's just a very sad situation when someone loses their life like that. I didn't see the video. I'm not going to see the video. I've heard the details around her death, and I just want to use what happened as sort of a wake up call to a lot of people to say, like, you know, get help. Get help. Don't get to that point where you feel as though there's nothing left, because it's a beautiful, as dark as the world can be. It's a beautiful world out there. If you know, when you're standing your back to the sun, you'll see nothing but darkness, but once you turn towards the sun, there's light. I forgot the origin of the saying, but it's the darkest before dawn or something along those lines. And it's, like I said, it's a struggle, but I don't want you to feel as though um, you're alone or anything like that. With my story, I have dealt with depression on and off since I was like a teenager. I've always been a bit of a loner. I was a tomboy growing up, and I'm still a bit of a tomboy. I was into video games and wrestling like that. And back then, growing up, it wasn't exactly cool to be the nerd. You were considered an outcast, and the coolest girls was wearing the short skirts and the lip gloss and everything like that. Whereas though I was wearing baggy clothes and stuff. And, I really didn't I had friends, but we weren't really into the same things. And so I just felt like an outcast. And I had, I didn't really had like someone to really turn to like that growing up. And I really didn't ask for help. I was a quiet person growing up, and I will always have smiles on my face, but it really was just a front of what I was feeling deep inside. And I had suicidal thoughts, and I made an attempt when I was 16, I think I was, and I didn't go through with it. I, cried, but I cried, to myself. And I had mentioned this before, but wrestling has like a special hold in my life, because after that attempt, there was this DVD that was sitting by my TV. It was a DVD of The Undertaker. I think it was called like Greatest Matches Alive or something like that. But it had the match of Undertaker versus Undertaker, and I decided to just put it on, and I just watched it, and I kept watching it, and I would, turn to wrestling and kind of like used it as an escape from everything, which in itself isn't really a good thing, because you're not facing what it is that you're going through. You're kind of just, pushing things to the side, and, what you're going through and the issues, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you can't really take it anymore. Um, and so growing up, like, I never really addressed issues that I was going through. And I eventually decided to try to work on myself. And I eventually spoke to a therapist. So I talked to a therapist in my 20s, to try to like figure out like what is going on with me. And it helped some. Unfortunately, the insurance I was on, it like I had to make a copay, so it didn't last for too long. I think I did it for maybe 3 months, and there was some improvement, but it just wasn't there. And so it was on and off. And that's when I was like started to talk about how I felt. Try, talk things out. I started journaling. The past few years, I've gotten into meditating. I'm not like consistent with meditating, but I make sure that I give myself time to sit quietly, not really with my thoughts, but kind of like center and be present with myself. And it's still, it's still a struggle, especially, with the pandemic going on and everything. I lost my grandmom in 2019 to cancer. That was a horrible, it was horrible to see her go through that. 2 months after she passed, there was a murder. There were 4 members of my dad's side of the family that was brutally murdered, and that was something as well. And then a couple of months later, the pandemic hit. I was working at a very stressful job, and I decided to that enough was enough, and made the change. And now I work from home, but still we're in the middle of the pandemic, um, especially what was going on in America with um, the racial tensions and political tensions and religious tensions. It was just like it was you get like slight anxiety just to walk out of the door at one point. And I started to look more towards meditating again and working out and stuff, and you know trying to relearn to take care of myself. And like I said, it's a process, and no one is perfect. um, Even with September 11th, um, I slightly like couldn't even really watch the anniversary that they were showing, because that was a whole experience itself. I wasn't in New York when it hit, but I was in senior year of high school when it happened, and that itself is like that was like straight up anxiety, even though I was in New York. So I don't have the experience of people who lived in New York or anyone who was, affected by what happened on September 11th. But I realized there's a whole generation who doesn't know how it felt to witness that attack live, and having to watch everything happened on TV. And a lot of people have said it, and I'm gonna say it too. There were things that I saw on that TV that a teenager shouldn't really see, or anybody should really see, really. And yeah, it changes your life. And with everything that has happened since then, especially how America was, just so divided for mainly the past year and a half. It's just a lot. It really is. And if you need to take a mental break, take it. If you need to, like, turn off your phone, text mom, dad, sister, brother, friend, whoever, and just say, look, I'm going off the grid for a few days. I just need to, like, mentally take a break. Take time off. I used to be one of those people that would work hard. I would work like 40 plus hours. I mean, I'm kind of doing that today, but it's in a much better setting. It's very less stressful. But when I would work like long hours in a stressful situation, never use my sick days. I would take vacations and stuff, but I would like be I would be work 24/7 basically. And I didn't have a balanced work life. My work life balance wasn't there. And I realized that I'm replaceable to to an employer. We are all replaceable. If we were to quit on a Monday, they'll find a replacement by Friday. And I decided to, use my days, take time off. If you need to take a mental day, just take a mental day. I started to every quarter just take a day off and just be in the house by myself. I would, sip some wine. I would day drink. I would sip some wine, watch my favorite movie, and just sit back and relax. I did that a couple of times. I would be the only one home, so I will order food. I will order like seafood and stuff like that. It's was on Parks and Recreation. They would say the treat yourself. Do it. Have once a quarter. It don't even have to be that extravagant. You can just take the day off and just sleep in bed. Sleep in bed, play some music, lay around, play video games, watch a marathon or something just to take a mental break. It's very good for you because it used to be that being a workaholic was like the ultimate goal in life. Being in the rat race, it was, something that every adult did. And now it's a lot acceptable to just take a mental break. There are a lot of employers now, not all, but there are a lot who allow you to take mental breaks. The employer who I work for now, they have, wellness, and they have they have benefits to make sure that your mental health is good. They make sure that your work life balance is okay. You know, there's people who will check up on you and stuff. There's a lot of resources out there. And even if it's not through your employer, there's a lot of resources out there. I already gave the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. I'll give it again, which is 1-800-273-8255. There's a Lifeline chat on the web. There's a crises text line, so you would text hello to 741-741. If you're a veteran, there's a veteran crisis line because I don't know anyone who has served in a war, but I have seen the effects of veterans. And so if you're a veteran out there, there's a lot of help for you. I know that the transition from, military to civilian life can be taxing. And unfortunately, we do not take care of our veterans like we should. We take care of them a lot when they're serving in the Army, but once they are going back to civilian life, it's not as many resources out there. The phone number for veterans, 1-800-273-8255 as well. And there's also a veterans crisis chat as well online. For my LGBTQ community, there's the Trevor Project. That's they are for suicide prevention for the LGBTQ plus community. The number for that is 1-866-488-7386. There's also, for veterans too, there's the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. They have mental health resources as well. There's a trans lifeline too, 1-877-565-8860. It's, it's out there for you. And if you're listening, if whether you're going through something or you know someone who's going through something, this is a special episode. You can forward this to them of all the information there. We all have something that we're going through, and sometimes you're able to it's some issues are easier to process and get a closure from or resolution, and some situations there is no resolution and it's very difficult to process. So I just want to put out there of different resources for people to get help, because I don't like reading about people who committed suicide, or people who aren't well, because you're loved by somebody. And if you need somebody to talk to, like I said, I gave the there's a lot of people who are willing to listen to your story. And there's um there's like resources in other countries that I always think is like a great idea. I think it was in Denmark. It's a library, and there are people who, I think it's like labels or something like that. And you would go to them and they will tell you their life story. And the purpose of it all is to not judge a book. Basically, don't judge a person by the cover. Don't judge a book by the cover. But I find that so fascinating, that you'll be able to go up to a person and find out their life story. Um, I've worked with the public for a very long time, and I love hearing people's life stories. And I always have been curious of, you know, people's lives outside of mine because, while we are going through our own shit, there are millions of people who are going through something. Um, you know, while you're riding on the train, somebody's on a plane up above doing something. There's someone in the car, going past by and everything. And we are all connected. We are all connected. We're on this one planet. We are one human race, you know, and we all have to take care of ourselves and each other. And I just kind of this is going to be a short episode, but I really wanted to just kind of drive the point home of the purpose of it all, and that is about mental health and to know that you are not alone. Um, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's sometimes it's a long ass tunnel, and you may have to run a couple of miles to get to the end of that tunnel, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I kind of developed like a little mantra to myself whenever I like feel like a moment is too much for me. I take a deep breath and I just tell myself that this moment will pass, or as it's said in the Bible, this too shall pass. But I look at it as, time is going to keep moving forward. And what I'm feeling right now, it's going to be in the past. Um, I'm recording this right now on September 16th, 2021. September 16th, 2021 will never happen again, Um, and, a lot of things when it comes to mental health, it has to do with the past, our past, whether it's regrets or grudges or, the shoulda, woulda, coulda's. We all experienced it. We all have. And I try to look at it as, um, you know, I look at it as an experience of it's who it's who I am today. The things that I went to, it's because of who I am today. And I know I sound like I'm rambling, but I just really want to put the message out there that you're not alone. Whatever it is that you're going through, you are strong. You're strong enough to process what it is that you're going through, strong enough to get a resolution for yourself, um, whatever it may be. And there are a lot of resources out there for you. And if you want to scream at the top of your lungs, scream at the top of your damn lungs. Let it out. Don't hold it in. Don't feel as though you're embarrassed by it or anything. Just say, I need help, and look for it. There's a lot of resources out there, whether it, like I said, therapy, talking to someone, medication. If it's that bad that you feel as though I need to check into a mental hospital, check into a mental hospital. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel embarrassed at the fact that you need help. You saying that you need help, you're strong right there. You're stronger than a lot of damn people who's going to talk shit about you for saying that you need help. Because I can guarantee they need help too. They're not as strong as you to admit that they need that help. So once again, I will give out the numbers of for the suicide prevention helpline, which is 800-273-8255. If you have suicidal thoughts and you feel as though it's coming to that point, call that number. Just call that number, talk to someone. If you don't want to talk on the phone, there's a text line. Just text hello to 741-741. If you don't want to talk, it's okay. I believe there's a website as well. I'm not quite sure if they do anything through social media or anything, but just talk to someone. Just talk to someone. Please talk to someone. And just know that I love you and I want you to live a happy life, whatever that means to you. It doesn't have to be a perfect life, just a happy life for you. But that's the end of this episode. Like I said, if you feel as though you need help, ask, shout it to the end of the world, and take any of the resources that's available to you. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, guys, peace.